1 ICU ratio and the rate is 15. So it's the same thing. So we didn't change anything from what we were starting people on, and we're starting here. But to our great surprise, good surprise, is that we found that the gases on this is much better than the gases on this, even though they're the same, right? And that's, I hope one day I'll finish that study. That it's a study that will that is basically designed to or the hypothesis of the study is to say that the APRV in an equivalent minute ventilation will give you more alkalosis, more towards alkalosis, more like more ventilation in an equivalent minute ventilation. Like you give me 5 here and 5 here, that 5 here is more valuable than this, and that's what we noticed. The most common gas. Have you noticed the most common gas in Brockton ICU is what? Maybe you didn't notice. But when we have a lot of intubated patients, the most common gas is alkalosis, actually, not acidosis. Because we put these patients on and all of them become alkalosis. So you see us quickly going from 2 and 2 to 4 and 4 to 8 and 8. And the weaning, by the way, is very liberal here. You just keep, I wean by just the times. Keep prolonging the time, prolonging the time, prolonging the time. Because they can breathe on top. They can determine what they want to breathe. And I want them to breathe more spontaneously because it's more favorable way of breathing. Right? So, how does this hypothesis work? All right, just 2 more minutes. Here, what's your minute ventilation, Professor?
Probably like 8.
No, 4.
4.
Remember VQ match, 4 divided by 5, so that gives you 0.8. So your minute ventilation is 4. Normal size people is 4. What percentage of the what's your dead space per the minute? About 0.5. So your alveolar ventilation. That's your, let's do it like this. That's your dead space here. That's 0.5 and that's 3.5. So your alveolar ventilation is 3.5. And that gives you a normal gas. When you get sick, right, what will be your minute ventilation? You have pneumonia, you have whatever. What will be your minute ventilation? Much higher, 12, 15, whatever. That's what happened. Why? Because they have a much higher dead space. So if your minute ventilation goes to 10, 3.5 will remain alveolar ventilation, if we're ventilating you adequately, obviously, and 6.5 will be the dead space. So we're breathing you at 10, but you're achieving the same gas. Or you're breathing at 20 and you're achieving the same gas, not because your alveoli need more, you still need the 3.5 for alveoli, but then the rest is all dead space. My hypothesis is that this is what APRV does. It inches away from this. Just because it's a recruitment mode, it takes maybe another half from here. So it makes the alveolar ventilation 3.5 plus 0.5, for example, so 4 and 6 here. Same minute ventilation, but more recruitment, so more units are participating, and that's what makes this mode much easier to wean than other modes of ventilation. 3 things that you're gonna be like called about, and you have to know. Number 1. I'm not going to go further. Just high tidal volume. Tidal volumes here reach to 1,200, 1,500, 1,600, 12, sometimes 1,800 tidal volume. But what are we going to do with low tidal volume ventilation and all of these things? We'll talk about it in details when we talk about pressure control. But not injurious. Trust me. When the patient reaches from like 500 tidal volume to 1,200 tidal volume, we are clapping. The confettis, the patient is going to be extubated because he's just improved. His compliance is better. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, high respiratory rate. If they call you for a respiratory rate of 45, 50, it's fine. It's a small breath. We want them to do that. Let him work his muscles. It's not like other modes of ventilation. Last thing, literature. Is there any literature to support this? Yes. And I don't know what people are thinking. It's crazy. It's so amazing, right? But of course, you have to have mortality benefit. If you don't have mortality benefit, then we can't adopt it. So, do we have mortality benefit from volume control? No, we don't. So, you get the one that's closest to mortality benefit. Anyway, huge study done in China, and they actually did the APRV, true classic APRV versus low tidal volume ventilation, the typical 6 milliliter per kilogram that we do for ARDS patients. amazing results, like results that is so amazing that people here in the United States think that the Chinese falsified the records. It's just unbelievable results. Like days free, so they did like 28 days. So vent free days in the volume control was average 3. In APRV, average 23. Like patients got extubated within 7 days. That only took like 27 days to be extubated on average. For example, so that they trachs much less. What other liberation from the vent much more. You know, on APRV. PF ratio much improved. On all of the parameters improved on APRV. Pressors were the same, by the way, for some reason. Huh? The only thing is that you know what the mortality was? Mortality was, I think it was, I don't remember the exact number, but the mortality for volume control was similar to the mortality that we see for ARDS anyway. It was about 28%. Usually ARDS 30% mortality. This mortality was 15%. Huge. But the p value was 0.053. So you tell that to anybody in any other hospital, they say no, we're not adopting APRV. There's no mortality benefit. I mean, I want to just like, can I take my eyes out and just throw it? Can I just like poke my own eyes and cry about it? I don't know. How am I gonna cry about it? I don't know. What is this? All of what I said here, and all of the advantages that you see for this mode, and the study that showed the mortality benefit, this is the mortality, and all of the, even if there's no mortality benefit, at least I'm extubating people more. How about that? You know, no trachs. But still nobody wants to adopt it because maybe the Chinese falsified the record. Maybe anything. Maybe the ARDS network falsified the records. Who knows? Who looks? Nobody. But anyway, that's it. That is it.